if you get anything out of this, anything, it's whether you took time on purpose, whether you were put in a situation where you had to take time. I want you to utilize that time to sit down and about a time in my life where I wasn't dating, I wasn't in a relationship, I wasn't pursuing any goals I can recall, I wasn't doing anything in particular, I wasn't trying to be promoted at work. I made a fasted. All I was doing was writing. I was writing my ideas. I was writing what's on my mind. I was writing whatever God was giving me for the vision for my life. And it's important. It's important to remember to do those things, and I'm gonna tell you why. Even if you lose your journal or your notebook, or maybe you put it in your phone, whatever have you, maybe you may not ever go to it again. Even if it's just a memory in your mind, because I remember specifically a lot of things because I wrote it over and over and over again, which I suggest repeatedly writing things down. Don't just write it down one time. Write it down over and over, look at it over and over. But let's say once you do that, you write it over and over, you look at it over and over. Once it's lodged in your brain, you will not be able to be comfortable with staying where you are. And I know it sounds like I'm saying two things at once, because it's like, wait, you're not comfortable with staying where you are, but you stayed where you were at that time. But I'm making a point. I want you to hear what I'm saying. You need to take that moment and that time to sit in your presence, in the presence of God, to remember the things that you love doing. Remember who you are, the creative things that used to move you without money, without any things that you would do for free. Those things that you want to do. Those things that you want to do and you think about it all the time. And it's like you have this itch to scratch. Those things that you stopped desiring to do. Those things you did as a child for fun. Those things you did, I used to play preacher, and I ended up learning that I love to teach people. I love to help them, motivate them. Get back to that child in you. Get back to that person, because that's the key to the generational wealth that God wants to bring into your life in the season that He has dedicated to giving it to you. I was talking to my nail tech. It was like her first day, I think it was, and she was we were both talking about business and things of that nature, and she sounded like so many women who basically feel like, oh, I have goals, things and things. I asked her what happened. She go, oh, I wanted to go, this happened and that happened, and I had kids and da da da. Do you know that everybody, most people, I'm a unicorn, 32, single with no kids. Most people have something that comes up that puts a pause in their life. Do you not know that sometimes God is the reason for that pause? Because He wants you to know who you are? Do you know that? You are not a particular title. You are not a particular job. You are not only what you look like. You are not a job, a title, what you look like, what you've been. There are things that are literally in your DNA that make you move and make you excited when you think about or hear certain things. Some of us didn't discover that until after childhood, so I don't want you to feel like if you didn't know as a child that it's not mean time for you. And I don't want you to think when I say know that you know who you are, that your calling can't change. Your calling is where you're going at that time, that season in your life. That's not your purpose. Your calling and your purpose are tied together, but calling changes depending on the season that you're in. If your purpose is to enrich the lives of youth and to make sure that they know that God has a plan for them, that can look like a teacher, that can look like a youth pastor, that can look like a mother that stays home for a while, And then the next thing you know, your children are grown and you go become a counselor, and then God moves you from that position and moves you somewhere else. See, that's a lot of us are confused about a calling and a purpose. Purpose is more general, more vague. But when you know what your purpose is, you're not so focused on what it's going to look like. You're focused on making sure that what you are doing is aligned with your purpose. No matter what season you're in, no matter what call you're in, it is aligned with your purpose. I'm not gonna say you don't have more than one purpose. I don't know that, but it got to be aligned with the purpose that you are aware that you have. When God began to show me visions for my life, He showed me callings with an S on it. He showed me callings. And so some of y'all, God is showing you one thing at a time. And then some of y'all, God has so much for you to do. He's got to show you a lot at one time. And I was so afraid. I said, God, I cried. I said, God, I can't do it. I can't do all of that. I can't do it. And God kept saying, yes, you can do it. Specifically, I had to realize, why not? Here's my point. Embrace the calling, embrace the purpose, but know your purpose. Know who you are. Know what makes you angry. What are you angry about that you want to solve? Sit down and know, and God will reveal it to you. Take that time. I think Taraji P. Henson, she was like 30 something or like 40 something with a child, a single mother with a child. And now she's a A-list celebrity. But people kept telling her she can't do it. Don't let people with little to no faith tell you what you can't do. No, baby, you can't do it because you're lazy. You don't want to do the work of figuring out what it is that you want to do. What it is that God has for you to do. So because you're too afraid or too lazy or too complacent, you're trying to project on me. Take the time. And if you don't take the time, God has a way of making you take it. I'm not saying God makes you get pregnant out of wedlock or early and you end up single. I'm saying sometimes God is in that. If you get anything out of this, anything, it's whether you took time on purpose, whether you're put in a situation where you have to take time. I want you to utilize that time to sit down and be quiet and write down the 3 things that you are best at, the 3 things, gifts, ideas, whatever that comes to you easiest. You may not be creative. Write down the 3 things that make you angry, the things you want to solve. Write down 3 things. I don't care what it is. If it's relative to who you are as a person, who you've always been, who you know yourself to be, write those 3 top things down and see what God will tell you. And just start writing down whatever comes to you. Write it. And read it over and over. Be encouraged. Take the time and figure out who you are, what your purpose is. God bless.